You know what's absolutely disgusting? The fact that Roman Reigns, the so-called tribal chief, needed not one, but three men to take down Brock Lesnar on SmackDown. Let that sink in for a moment. The man who claims to be the greatest of all time, the head of the table, the one who supposedly rules WWE with an iron fist, couldn't face the beast incarnate one-on-one. Instead, he had to hide behind Jacob FATU and Jimmy Uso like a coward. And you know what makes this even more infuriating? People are still defending him. They are acting like this was some masterstroke of genius when in reality, it exposed Roman for exactly what he is, a manipulator who can't back up his words without an army behind him. But before we dive into this absolute mess that went down on SmackDown, I need to know something from you. Drop your answer in the comments right now. Do you think Brock Lesnar deserved this attack, or was this the most cowardly move we've seen from the Bloodline? Don't hold back, I want to hear your real thoughts. Now, let's break down exactly what happened, because this situation is so much deeper than just a beatdown. This is about legacy, respect, and the fact that Roman Reigns is terrified, absolutely terrified, of what Brock Lesnar represents. Let me paint the picture for you. SmackDown was already electric. The crowd was buzzing, anticipating something big. And then Brock Lesnar's music hit. The arena erupted. The Beast Incarnate made his way to the ring with that same intensity we've come to expect, laser-focused, ready to destroy anyone who stepped in his path. He grabbed a microphone, and you could see it in his eyes. He was calling out Roman Reigns. He wanted that one-on-one confrontation. He wanted to settle their rivalry once and for all, man to man, champion to champion. But Roman didn't come out alone. Of course he didn't, because Roman Reigns hasn't fought his own battles in years. Instead, Jacob FATU's music hit first. The Samoan werewolf stormed down that ramp like a freight train, and the look on Brock's face shifted from confidence to calculation. Brock knew something was up. He's not stupid, he's been in this business long enough to smell a setup from a mile away. Then Jimmy Uso appeared from the other side. Now it's 2 against 1, and Brock is standing in the center of that ring, looking at both men, knowing exactly what's about to go down. But here's the thing about Brock Lesnar, the man doesn't back down from anybody. He stood his ground, ready to fight both of them if he had to. That's what a real champion does. And then Roman Reigns' music finally hit. The tribal chief walked out, that smug look on his face, that arrogant strut, taking his sweet time because he knew Brock was trapped. He knew his cousin and his enforcer had Brock exactly where he wanted him. Roman stood at the top of the ramp, arms crossed, watching like some kind of mafia boss ordering a hit. He didn't even have the guts to step into that ring immediately. Here's a question for you. How many times does Roman need backup before people stop calling him the greatest? Comment below with a number. I'm genuinely curious what you all think. The attack was brutal. Jacob FATU struck first with a devastating superkick that sent Brock stumbling backward. Before the Beast could even recover, Jimmy Uso hit him with a splash in the corner. Brock tried to fight back, and let me tell you, he got his hands on both of them. He hit Jimmy with a German suplex that nearly sent him through the mat. He caught Jacob FATU with a thunderous clothesline. For a moment, it looked like Brock might actually overcome the odds, because that's just who Brock Lesnar is. But then Roman finally decided to get involved. He slid into the ring, and the three of them overwhelmed Brock with a coordinated assault that was clearly planned down to the second. Jimmy and Jacob held Brock up while Roman talked trash right in his face. You could see Roman saying something, probably some disrespectful garbage about being the real alpha, and then he hit Brock with a Superman punch that echoed throughout the arena. They weren't done. Not even close. Jacob FATU climbed to the top rope and hit a massive moonsault on Brock. The impact was sickening. And while Brock was down, gasping for air, Roman stood over him and delivered not one, but 2 spears. The second one was completely unnecessary, by the way. It was pure disrespect. It was Roman sending a message, but not the message he thinks he was sending. See, Roman thinks this attack made him look strong. He thinks it made him look like the dominant force in WWE. But what it actually did was expose his greatest weakness. He cannot beat Brock Lesnar by himself. Think about their history. Every single time they've faced each other when the stakes were highest, when it was truly one-on-one with no interference, Brock has had Roman's number. WrestleMania 31, Brock destroyed Roman. WrestleMania 34, Brock walked out as champion. Crown Jewel 2018, Brock won again. The only times Roman has beaten Brock were when he had help, when there were stipulations that favored him, or when the circumstances were questionable. And now here we are again, Roman needing 2 other people to take Brock down. That's not strength. That's fear. Let me ask you this, if you were in Roman's position, would you have attacked Brock 3-on-1, or would you have faced him like a man? Drop your answer below. But let's talk about Jacob Fatu and Jimmy Uso for a second, because they are complicit in this cowardice. Jacob Fatu is one of the most talented big men we've seen in years. The guy can move like a cruiserweight despite being built like a tank. He's got the charisma, the intensity, the wrestling pedigree, but instead of building his own legacy, his content being Roman's muscle, that's a waste of potential. And Jimmy? Poor Jimmy Uso has been following Roman around like a puppy for so long that people have forgotten how talented he is. The Usos are one of the greatest tag teams in WWE history. They don't need to be Roman's lackeys. But here's Jimmy, sacrificing his own identity to do Roman's dirty work once again. The bloodline used to mean something. It used to represent family, honor, and dominance through unity. Now, it's just Roman's personal security detail. It's a gang of enablers who allow him to avoid accountability and avoid proving that he can actually be the champion he claims to be. And here's what really gets me fired up about this whole situation, the aftermath. After the attack, Roman stood tall in the ring, holding up the ones with that self-satisfied expression, acting like he just accomplished something meaningful. The commentary team tried to spin it as some strategic masterpiece. Social media exploded with people praising Roman's tribal warfare tactics. Are you kidding me? Since when did we start celebrating cowardice? Since when did we start applauding a champion who refuses to fight his own battles? This isn't strategy, this is survival. Roman attacked Brock because he knows that if he faces Brock one-on-one at their next pay-per-view showdown, he's going to lose. Quick question for the comment section, who would win in a legitimate one-on-one match with no interference, Roman or Brock? I already know my answer. What makes this even more frustrating is that Brock Lesnar doesn't play these games. Brock doesn't need a faction. He doesn't need cousins or enforcers or anyone else. When Brock Lesnar shows up, he shows up alone and he handles his business alone. That's what a legitimate baddest does. That's what someone who's truly confident in their abilities does. Roman can claim he's the tribal chief all he wants. He can talk about legacy and bloodlines and being the greatest. But until he can stand across the ring from Brock Lesnar without Jimmy Uso and Jacob Fatu watching his back, he'll never truly be the greatest. He'll always have that asterisk next to his name. He'll always have people questioning whether he's really as good as he says he is. The WWE universe is divided right now. Half of the fans think this attack was brilliant, that Roman is playing chess while everyone else plays checkers. The other half, the smart half, sees this for what it really is, desperation from a champion who knows his time is running out. And here's the reality that Roman doesn't want to face. Brock Lesnar is going to come back from this attack angrier than ever. You don't put down the beast and expect him to stay down. You've just woken up something primal, something unstoppable. When Brock gets his hands on Roman, and trust me, he will get his hands on Roman, there won't be enough members of the bloodline to save him. So let me ask you one final question before we wrap this up. What should Brock Lesnar do next? Should he go after Roman immediately? Should he dismantle the bloodline one by one? Give me your booking ideas in the comments. This attack on SmackDown wasn't a statement of dominance, it was a confession of fear. Roman Reigns just told the entire world that he's terrified of Brock Lesnar, and no amount of Superman punches or spears can hide that truth. The tribal chief isn't a chief at all, he's just a man surrounded by bodyguards, desperately trying to hold on to power he knows he doesn't deserve. And when the reckoning comes, when Brock Lesnar finally gets Roman alone in that ring, we're going to see who the real alpha is.